I am now going to make like Yves Montand, and I'm going to try to make up some time by going really fast on the road. Push it, push it! Okay, those of you who are back, having just seen The Wages of Fear, and maybe you hadn't seen it before, see, I wasn't kidding. That is one grueling movie. Yes. And do come and see Sorcerer when that is shown. I don't know when that's going to be, but it's upcoming, and sometime in March, and that is spectacular. Okay, so the movie that you are about to see, to give you a brief background on this. I had a nice conversation with some folks outside waiting in line just for this show, and there were a lot of questions about how we find these rare international films and how the Film Noir Foundation goes about doing these restorations and things, and this is part of the story. Perhaps 3 or 4 years ago, there was an international story that broke about people finding the only uncut version of Metropolis known to still exist. It was found in a film vault in Buenos Aires by a woman named Paula Felix Didier, and this was a revelation. It was like a holy grail, you know. And I have met Paula and her ex-husband, Fernando Montempena, who is one of the great cinema historians and film collectors in Buenos Aires. And about 4 years ago, when I went down there, I had the pleasure of making their acquaintance, got to know them, be friends with them. And as I left Buenos Aires, Fernando whispered in my ear, he said, "There's lots more." But he's a very, very smart man, because he is not telling people exactly what's there, because honestly his experience with Metropolis wasn't entirely pleasant. The way other cultures treated it, they felt, you know, like Buenos Aires, what's Buenos Aires in Argentina? It's ripe for exploiting this. You know, the stories are legend. You know, there was a French guy who called Paula every day on the telephone, begging her to sell him that print of Metropolis for $250,000. And she said, "You don't understand. I don't own the film. I work for a public museum where the film was found. The film does not belong to me." And he would berate her and call her stupid, and why are you such an idiot, and all that. So there are a lot of complicated issues involved in all this. And Fernando is very much a steward and a guardian of Argentinian film history. So when I went back to Buenos Aires the next time, it was my incredible pleasure to have him show me examples of Argentinian film noir in a private screening at the Malba, the private art museum in Buenos Aires. And one of those films is what you are about to see. This is now a newly struck print of this film with English subtitles, funded by the Film Noir Foundation. And this print now resides in the United States and is kept at the UCLA Film and Television Archive as part of the Film Noir Foundation collection. We are hoping that there will be other films that we can do the same thing. There was a film that we showed in San Francisco called El Vampiro Negro, which is an extraordinary remake of Fritz Lang's M that was made in Buenos Aires in 1953. I was hoping to bring that to Seattle, but we were unable to make the new print of that film in time with the English subtitles on it. We showed it in San Francisco in Fernando's own personal print with live subtitles that we operated from the booth. For various reasons, we weren't able to do that here, but as soon as that print is created, we will be able to bring that back here next year to Seattle and show it, because it's revelatory. This film, one of the themes of this festival is showing how different cultures influence each other and how you can see these cinematic trends kind of moving around the world. The film that you're about to see owes a lot to American cinema. It obviously is influenced by American crime fiction, and specifically Jules Dassin's The Naked City. It starts out as sort of Naked City, Buenos Aires. It becomes a classic sort of heist movie where a guy tries to pull off the perfect crime. And then it veers into being sort of a version of Dassin's Brute Force when it becomes, surprisingly, a prison movie all of a sudden. It's very unique. Jorge Salcedo, who plays the lead character, gives a really charismatic performance. And, you know, without going into any great detail, it is fascinating because Argentine cinema of recent vintage is now considered to be, you know, a hotbed of very influential filmmaking. There are a lot of great Argentinian filmmakers now. This is not something new. Fernando's written a book called 100 Years of Argentine Cinema. John Alton, who is considered to be the greatest noir cinematographer, was a Hungarian who worked in Argentina before he ever came to Hollywood, and is credited with really creating the major film studio there, Lumiton, the major studio in Argentina. Alton had a significant role in creating that studio. Unfortunately, a lot of the films that he shot in Argentina in the 1930s are now lost because there just wasn't the same level of care that we now know to exert on these films. But a lot of stuff still does exist. So, Apenas un delincuente, Hardly a Criminal, is, in my mind, like the finest example of a noir film made in Argentina in the 1940s. And the director, Hugo Fregonese, came to Hollywood in the early 1940s, studied filmmaking. In a very odd, interesting twist, he met the actress Faith Demurd, who was one of many protégés of Howard Hughes, the RKO studio boss Howard Hughes, and actually married her. She is in this film. She has a brief cameo in the film as the woman in the casino that Salcedo gambles with. Then after this, Hollywood invited him back because he took what he learned in Hollywood, went back to Buenos Aires, made several films, this being the finest one, and this was his ticket back to Hollywood, where he made several other movies, a couple of noirs, One Way Street and Black Tuesday with Edward G. Robinson, and had a very successful career in Hollywood as a filmmaker. But this stands as the best work of his career in his native Argentina. So there isn't much else that I need to tell you about. You'll get this one because it feels just like an American film noir, except they're speaking Spanish. So thanks very much for coming out today. I hope you're coming back this evening because it's a real treat. We get to show our brand new restoration of Too Late for Tears. 5 years in the making, this one. So thanks for hanging in there on this marathon day. And I want to just thank Fernando Peña for introducing me to these films and helping facilitate the existence of this new print. So thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed it.